All right, good morning, Rotary District 7770, and welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People. My name is Donald Hovis, your CWRAP host, and I'm from the CWRAP Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And today we're talking all about good works with a fellow District 770 Rotarian from the Chapin Sunrise Club, Mary Higginbothan. Mary, we look forward to your presentation in just a few minutes. Up first, some announcements. Today is National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. In remembrance of Pearl Harbor, please post in the chat box your name, your Rotary Club, and if you've ever been to the state of Hawaii where Pearl Harbor is located, how about put that in the chat? I would have gone if we went to the International Convention this year, but hey, that didn't happen. So introduce your name, your Rotary Club, and if you've ever visited the state of Hawaii. All right, introducing your CWRAP team, our Public Image Chair from the Rotary Club of 5 Points in Columbia, the wonderful Mary Gask. Mary, thank you for being here. So Mary Higginbothan, good morning, and thanks for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you.
So
it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. We look forward to your presentation. How long have you been a member of Chapin Sunrise?
I have been a member for about a year of the club.
So you still have a red badge?
Yes. Well, gosh, I have to think about that. I haven't been able to wear a badge in so long to go, to our meetings, but we, yes. So I've really enjoyed it.
So you're going to talk to us about good works. So what is good works?
Yes. Well, thank you again for having me, and I appreciate y'all taking the time to learn a bit about Good Works. Good Works was started in 2002 in Chapin by a local local businessman named Brinkley Melvin. And Brinkley did a lot of medical missions overseas as well as domestically, and was involved in organizations like Habitat for Humanity and recognized the need locally for housing, and was looking at what exactly did we need in Chapin and to serve the surrounding area. We cover 3 counties, but not in their entirety. We cover parts of Richland, Lexington, and Newberry counties. And he realized when he was looking to see, what do we need to do in our area? What is the greatest need? Is it building houses, repairing houses? And the answer came to him through his son, actually. He has 3 sons, and at the time, one of his sons was at Chapin High School and came home one day and said, there's this boy in my class, and I think he's really in need. I think he's showering at school and really does not have what he needs to have at his house. So they went and visited this boy. His name's Ellis, and they went out to his house. And Ellis lives just right outside of Chapin. And Chapin is a fairly affluent community, and one that when you're here, you don't really think, wow, I'm going to see what I'm going to see. And it's very hidden. But what they drove up to was Ellis's home, was very, very old, and it had no indoor plumbing. He didn't have a toilet, a shower, anything like that inside. They used the neighbors for water and had an outhouse for bathroom facilities. And again, this was in 2002. So that was really something that pointed Brinkley and to say, this is what we need here. We need to reach out to people who they've lived here for generations. They're on family land and maybe in an old family house, but the house is falling down around them. Or the house could be okay. We just need to go in and do repairs and renovations to make it safe for them to live in. So that's how Good Work started. And that's what our main mission is, to repair and renovate homes for people in need in our community. And then we have also started to do some building. We built a house in 2015, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for one of our clients. And then now we have launched our tiny home, building our first tiny home.
So, why do we need housing?
In our area, which is, any of you familiar with this area, this is Irmo up to the town of Newberry is where we serve. And it's a mixture of fairly rural, with exception of the center of Chapin and then Irmo, all sort of suburbs almost of Columbia. And we have people that are living in homes that are really substandard. So we don't have to bring anybody into our area that is in need of a home. We have people right in our area who are staying with family members because they don't have a home. They can't afford oftentimes in the area to rent because it's too expensive. And so there's just not a lot available. We don't have large tracts of, we don't have apartment buildings or anything like that, low income housing that's available. Well, we have very little that is available between Irmo and Newberry. And there's a waiting list for those that are there. And so we have people that find themselves in the situation where they can't afford the rent, they can't build something, they certainly can't go buy something. And so, but the home that they're in, whereas we'd often repair or renovate it, oftentimes it's beyond that point. So it's just not a smart decision financially to repair a house that's as is in the state of disrepair it's in. So that's our purpose, is finding housing that's safe and also more energy efficient as well, and more of a solid build house for people that we currently serve right now.
So why a tiny home?
Well, we were very interested in the tiny home concept for a few reasons. One is that the tiny homes are very energy efficient. They're small. The one we're building is 504 square feet. So it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and they're with a kitchen and a living area. And everything in there is full size. It's not as if you're in a RV or even some mobile homes that have things that are sized a little bit smaller. Everything in this house is a normal size for a bathroom or a kitchen, but and the construction is much better than a mobile home. These homes are built on a 2-bys instead of 1-by, like a mobile home is. They're going to last, and then, as I mentioned, they're going to be energy efficient. We have people that might be a single person, or it might be an older couple that need a safe place to live, but they don't need a bunch of space. Also, another thing that oftentimes a lot of us don't think about is that our clients sometimes have they're extremely generous. And if they have a family member, or if they have a friend that is in need and says, wow, you've got a place, can I come stay with you? They're going to do it. They're going to open their doors and they're going to let their family, their friends come and live with them. And while that's wonderful, it's a big burden oftentimes on them, on those clients, because they can't afford to pay the light bill for an additional 4 people in their home. They can't afford to pay the groceries. It just becomes so burdensome and stressful for them. So that's kind of the other little thing we liked about a tiny home for some of our clients, is that they don't have that, they can live where they're not going to feel like, I've got the room, so I'm going to kind of, I need to help others. And it just takes a little bit of that stress off of them as well, so that they can worry about just taking care of paying their own bills and taking care of their home.
Excellent. I think it might be good now if I jump in. I'm going to share my screen and share some photos you've sent over to me. Then we'll kind of move forward with some questions, a few more questions. But those of you watching on here, one, thank you for being here and being part of CWRAP today. If you have a question for Mary, post that in the chat box, and we'll get those questions asked to her here shortly. There is one now in the chat box that talks about Rotary participating in this project. We are getting to that here in just a few minutes. So let me share my screen. And Mary, thanks for sending these photos over. And so here we go, and then we'll come back for some more questions. So maybe explain just real quick to the viewers, what is this?
Yes. So this is after we have all the walls up and the roof, as you can see, we're looking at the house from the front. So oftentimes, most of the time, the tiny homes I have ever seen and the one that we had designed, it enters from the short end. And so you're going back and, kind of almost like the way they used to call the shotgun house in a similar sense. So we're looking at the front door here in the front window, and you're walking in immediately into the living area and then the kitchen. The kitchen and living area are all one, and it's all open. And then as you proceed back, you're going to come to a linen closet and then a bathroom. To your left will be a side door to the outside. And then if you continue going straight, that would be the bedroom in the back, at the back of the house.
All right, let's see if this works. You got a couple other, there we go. How about this?
Yes, these are some wonderful volunteers that we had working on our tiny home, and these guys actually put on the paper on the roof. So that was one of the last things we did on the house before in this stage of completion. These guys were instrumental in the tiny house project. The guy on the right, some of you may know, that's Jim Cruzy with the Chapin Sunrise Rotary Club. Jim came to me and one day at GoodWorks and said, I'd really like to build a house. And I said, that's perfect, because that's the same, it's exactly what we want to do. And so it was wonderful that he came to us. I have no doubt that was in God's timing, that he came to us and wanted to get involved that way. And so we started to work on it, because I said, we've got these tiny house plans and we really want to do this. The guy on the left is another Jim. That's Jim Asamani, and Jim is a member of the Chapin community and is very familiar with building. And so Jim Cruzy on the right went to Jim Asamani on his left. He's a member of his church men's group, and said, hey, you'd be interested in getting involved? And Jim said, sure. So the three of us met. So Jim on the left in the orange shirt said, well, sure, I'll be happy to head it up for you. So he was our volunteer building leader, construction leader. And he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And he will continue with us as we continue this project.
And I believe coming up here is the last photo you sent me.
Yep, so now you can see it from that side angle, and you see the side door. We're going to have a little porch right there, just like a stoop with steps and a covered roof on that. And then on the front of this house, there will be a porch with a covered roof. But those just won't go on until we actually put it in place. We will also, if it is needed, whether it's now or later, we will put a handicapped ramp on the home at any point if the clients that will be living there need that. So we'll be doing that. But this house was built in Chapin. We have behind the house, you'll see a building with some columns, and that building's no longer in use, but it's all owned by the school district. And then the parking lot where our house is sitting is also to the left is Lexington County Sheriff's substation office. So they let us use this spot to build the house to this point. And a lot of people say, why would you do that? Why are you going to build it and move it? Well, it's the same concept that you see Habitat for Humanity does this quite often. It's an opportunity to broaden our reach as far as people being able to see what we do and get involved. And because what we do, you're not going to see it usually. It's going to be at somebody's house back in a, back down a quiet road or in a small neighborhood. So that's why we wanted to do this here, so people could then see. And we had people call and say, I see that house. How can I get involved? How can I volunteer? And that's what we were hoping and praying for. So that's why it's there, and then it will be moved to its permanent site.
Awesome. I'm going to stop the share now and come back to you. The next question, I think the photos just may have answered the question, but has construction begun? I think we saw almost a full done house. So
almost, yes. So right now we are preparing the site, the permanent site where it's sitting. It's going to sit on GoodWorks property. We own some property it's a little community called Little Mountain, but it's right outside of Chapin. They almost run into each other. They are just a few minutes from my GoodWorks office. And so we will have that house moved there to sit on that site, on that property. So we're just doing the prep on the permanent site right now, and then we'll move it and finish it, of course.
All right. So this was posted in the chat as part of a question, but here we go. So how is Rotary supporting this effort?
Rotary is a huge sponsor of this effort through financial contribution as well as volunteers. So we are so grateful. Rotary is paying about half the estimated cost of this house. We're actually probably a little bit more than half of the construction and all of the prep work and site work and everything that we have to do. So it's a huge contribution and undertaking that we're so grateful for. That's our Chapin Sunrise Rotary, and then we also received a district grant for the house as well. And then volunteers are instrumental in what GoodWorks does. I'm the only aside from one of our clients who we pay to help us out around the office, a Millie employee, and I can't go out and do that construction work. It's because of our volunteers that we get these things done, and that's how important they are to what we do.
And I think one of the coolest things I saw in one of those photos was Jim actually wearing a Rotary shirt while doing volunteer work. So I think that's very important to mention, that we love seeing, especially from a public image standpoint, Rotarians doing service projects in Rotary attire. So if you're listening to this and you're saying, my goodness, we do service projects and nobody wears Rotary attire. Well, folks, there's opportunities and there's places for you to get those. So if you need information on that, be sure to let us know. Does GoodWorks do it with its own staff, or do you hire out contractors?
Excuse me. Most everything we do is through volunteers. We have a contractor who is a volunteer that is the contractor of record, overseeing what we do, assisting with building permit, things like that. But he volunteers his time. He's a local custom builder here in town. Now, things have changed a little bit. Hopefully, I anticipate will just be temporary. Because of COVID, it is much harder to get volunteers because we want them to be comfortable. So they may not be comfortable going into somebody's home. We also don't want to put our clients at risk either. So we're very cognizant of that, and we have hired some of the funds that we are given through our supporters, which are namely almost virtually all of our local churches. We're not affiliated with any one church. We're supported by all the churches in town, and then private donations, and then our organizations like Rotary and others. With those funds, we have used to hire a plumber to go to a job site, electrician or heating and air, whatever those needs might be, because of COVID. But I anticipate things are coming back with more volunteers. We still have one of our essential groups that they're not going into homes yet. So we're working around that, and we're very thankful for the donations that we have that enable us to hire somebody if we need to. But in our non-COVID environment, most everything would be done by volunteers.
That's excellent. Now, the next question I'm going to ask you has actually been asked a couple times, so we're gonna knock a couple of the questions right off right here. So, how much does a tiny house cost? Is the building material local? And does the resident have the opportunity to become the homeowner?
Okay. All right. The first question, it costs about $50,000. Because you have, and it could depend based on where you are, of course. We did not have to buy the land. We already had the land, but you have to typically pay for a septic system unless you can tie into sewer, but that's not an option where we are. And then, your permits, and then your cost of materials. We always hope and plan to bring it lower than that, but we always want to plan for worst case scenario. So we're going to say this is what it could be. We can usually, through the generosity of donations, not only financial but also labor, bring that cost down. But that's what I would recommend anybody plan for, approximately. And then tell me the next question again, Don.
The building material is local?
Local. So our building materials did come from local companies. Two different companies. So those came in, not all donated, because that's an awful lot of, especially when we're working with our local building supply store here. They can't, small businesses right now don't have the financial ability to make those kind of large donations, but we do try to do business with those local companies. Yes.
Does the resident have the opportunity to become the homeowner?
Not right now on this house. This house is going to be on GoodWorks property, and it will remain in our possession. And so that's just the way we are doing this house and have done our other house. Now, the other house that we built in 2015, that's was for a specific client, and it will be his until the end of his life. And then at that point, we'll decide what to do with the house. And then this house, we're planning the same way. So it'll depend on the situation, I'm sure, as we go forward in the future in other houses that we build. But right now, it will be a GoodWorks owned house.
So when the home is completed, does it come furnished for the person that lives there?
It will. Yes, it will. We have a lot of, we anticipate that we'll have a lot of generous donors that will be donating those items and things for inside the home. So we do want to have it move-in ready for them.
And I believe you're on your second build. How many, do you have plans to build more?
We do. We do have plans to build more. We're still working that out to see what's going to be the best way to put the homes, what are the best designs to meet the needs of our clients. But yes, we have a lot of interest in meeting this need, because it is a big need in our community that, like I said, it's pretty hidden. You're not going to walk down the street and see, a homeless person on the corner. It's just something that, we may not be as aware of, but it's there. And so we see bringing this into a bigger program as we move forward.
So how do you make the decision who lives in the house?
Well, it's that is probably our hardest part about all of this, is who's going to move into the house. And so we look at, obviously we do an application and interviews with the person, and that knowledge and information combined with prayer is how we see where it leads us to the right person. Certainly with a tiny house, that's going to be a certain client. That's going to be somebody who only needs a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. How are they going to, is this the right place for them? Is this where they want to be? And you might have somebody that says, no, I'd really rather stay near to my family or something like that. So you have all those little things that will help us to identify that. And also want to make sure it's somebody that will be, of course, a good tenant, so to speak. Not really, it's not the best word, but really the best fit in this home, and does it work for them? So it's like I said, it's the hardest part of what we do.
Earlier, we talked about Rotary's involvement, so there's a question about that. When you say Rotary, are you just talking about the Chapin Sunrise Club, or you have other Rotary clubs helping you out?
No, it's just the Chapin Sunrise Rotary Club. And then we did receive, I mentioned, the district grant that helped, but as far as volunteers, the Chapin Club.
And do companies like Lowe's or Home Depot help at any point?
No, we work with Boland's, Ace Hardware, and 84 Lumber.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Is there a rent for the people in the home?
There will be, and it will depend on the client. That's how we have a few other homes in the area that we currently own where we have clients that live there, and it depends on their situation. So it will depend on what they can pay, what is affordable for them, and it may be something that merely covers some of their utilities, or maybe it will be a little bit more. So it's going to depend. We always like to take it on a case-by-case basis, and but we do expect them, unless it's an extenuating circumstance, to contribute in some way towards those costs. And so they're also in that, and we also do think that instills even more pride in their home, and that it's their place as they're contributing.
This is some great information. Really, really interesting stuff here. I've got one more question, it looks like, here for you, and that is, will a future owner have to take part in the build?
Well, we would like them to do that. The person that we're looking at for this home is disabled, so they'll participate in some way, but you're not going to see them out swinging a hammer. But in other ways, they'll be involved. Yes. So,
I would like for you now just to maybe tell people what's your website, how can people get in contact with you if they're interested, maybe just provide your contact information at this time.
Sure, thank you. Our website is Good Work SC. There's only one S, so it's Good Work, like Good Work SC, South Carolina.org. And we're also on Facebook as well. And then you can reach me. My email is maryh@goodworksc.org. And our phone number is 803-345-2030.
And if anybody needs that information, you can reach out to me or Mary Gask. We both have Mary's information. So if you don't remember that and you're saying, man, I wish I had her information, feel free to reach out. Plus, I believe since you are a Rotarian in our district, people can find you on DACDB as well. So
That's right.
There's always that if you can't remember what was just said. So Mary, thank you so much for being with us today. This was great. Really great presentation.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And we hope we'll see you maybe on the next CWRAP, because on Wednesday, folks, we've got the Dean of the College of Charleston Art Department, Valerie Morris, talking to us about the importance of art in the community. And then I said it on Friday, folks. I hope you got your barbecue ready for Friday, because Dan Huntley, Dan the Pigman, talking about barbecue of the South on Friday. Wednesdays at noon, Friday is at 11. Other announcements. Next Thursday is the district happy hour from 5 to 6:30 on Zoom. Information on how you log in is inside of DACDB. And then also on December 18th will be our last CWRAP of 2020. And it is our Christmas party, ugly sweater contest, and Christmas trivia. Now, we did Halloween trivia, and we had an absolute blast. Christmas trivia is going to be even better. I can tell you now, if you go to Google and type in Christmas trivia, brush up on your skills, because that's exactly what I'm going to do about 10 minutes prior to CWRAP on December 18th. So we can't have Google up on your screen looking at answers, but how about study? Study up, because we got some cool stuff on December 18th. And last but not least, right on the front page of DACDB, I'm on DACDB right now myself, and this is really good. It's called Steps for a Successful Newsletter Post. It's right on the right side on the front page of DACDB. It's got 5 steps on how you can submit a successful newsletter post that can have something featured you're doing to people in our district. So how about check that out, front page of DACDB. Mary, thanks again. Appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I will conclude with the Rotary 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Hope you folks have a wonderful Monday. Stay dry out there. We'll see you on Wednesday for the next conversation with Rotary Action People. Take care. That's a wrap.